This is the Houndsman XP Podcast.
Good dog, get that bear. Get that bear in
The
here.
original podcast for the complete Houndsman.
Look at your coat and go, Justin Idle. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
The podcast that represents our lifestyle of extreme performance.
Get him there. Get him. Get him. Yeah, good boy. Good boy, Ranger.
Uniting houndsmen across the globe, from east to west, north to south.
You know, if you're going to catch a cat or a lion, you know, you have to have teamwork.
We take you to the wildest places on earth.
Yeah, so how many days a week can you spend on that?
As much as I can, to be honest with you. Anytime that I get, I'm out there.
Join us for every heart-pounding adventure on Houndsman XP.
I'll tell you like I tell everyone else, I'm going to hunt whether you're here or not, so you might as well be here.
This week on the Houndsman XP podcast, we're doing something a little different, guys. Lauren and I sat down to record a tailgate talk, and then before we knew it, it turned into a full-scale episode. And we had such a good time that we decided, hey, let's just run this bad boy. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about what it was like getting into the sport of hound hunting, just starting out, finding mentors, is first dog love a real thing, and a lot more other stuff. Silly stuff, fun stuff. We laughed a lot. My cheeks were hurting by the end of the episode. It was a great time. Serious moments, hilarious moments, and Lauren got a new prison name. Lastly, guys, I just wanted to bring attention to our Patreon page. Look, we are always putting out new content on the Patreon page at least once a week, but we also do our monthly prize drawings where we give away sweet HXP merch to our Patreon fans. We do those live drawings once a month on our Facebook page. And also, guys, I'm posting our tailgate talks there. The Tailgate Talks are just bonus material mini podcasts where I talk to the fans directly and we talk about anything we want. Guys, I'm dead serious. I love to talk to the fans. Reach out to me, message me on Facebook, message me on Instagram, or drop me an email. You can go to houndsmanxp.com, go to the Contact Us page. Boom. You'll have all the ways to get a hold of me right there. Let's talk. I love it. And I'd love to have you on a Tailgate Talk. Don't forget to check out houndsmanxp.com. There you guys can find everything you need to know about the podcast, who our friends are, how you can support us, who we are, and our mission. Thanks for tuning into the podcast, guys. We really appreciate it. Always thinking about preserve, protect, promote. And without further ado, here's me and Lauren talking about, well, lots of stuff. Hey, Lauren, what's up?
Hey, Seth.
How's it going?
It's going good. I think I'm in like serious withdrawals and not from like alcohol or drugs or anything like that, but bear hunting.
It's a drug. Don't kid yourself. It's a drug.
Totally, like I was thinking today in my spare time while I was working, that like coon hunting isn't always like the same rush that I get when I'm bear hunting. I get like so excited and it's like such a rush of energy and everything that I'm like that's an addiction.
This is going strictly on imagination here, but I mean, a bear can come out of that tree and whip your butt and a coon really couldn't. I'm just saying like the charisma and size of a bear kind of inspires more of a rush, I would imagine, but this is all imagination.
Yeah,
I hunt a jackrabbit, so
but you get the rush too, like you said.
Oh
like
man,
we're gonna figure that out this winter.
Oh, you better.
I'll get to see what it's about, but yeah, I mean the bear could certainly come down.
I'm just glad you have an army of dogs between you and them.
It's not always an army.
Well,
it's not always an army. But you
2
can tell
to 5 feels better than none, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell when they want to come down when they're like angry and they don't want to be up the tree. And when they I mean, I haven't had one rush me, but they usually run the other way. But you always have a weapon on you just in case.
I worked for a salvage crew, which is like a crew that goes out and collects endangered fishes from streams that are imperiled. So usually it's ash flows from forest fires. And when I was on the salvage crew, I worked in the Mescalero Reservation, and I worked near the town of Ruidoso, New Mexico, up in the highlands above it. And one time there was a big forest fire. I think it was called the Little Bear Fire, ironically enough. Anyway, it displaced a lot of bears. And I had more close encounters with black bears that summer than I had in my entire life. And I remember the first black bear I ever saw, I thought it was a porcupine. It was like so small and scrawny. Yeah. And it was a cinnamon color too. So I was like, is it a color phase bear? And I remember looking down like 50 yards below where we were standing, and I had left my pack there. And I just looked down the stream, and this, what I thought was a porcupine, was like sauntering up to my pack. And I was like, that is the weirdest looking porcupine. And then I was like, that's a bear. And I was like, holy crap, that's a bear. And I like stood up and like made some noise, and it just took off. And all summer I just saw tons of bears, and they always run away. Like, obviously I wasn't worried I was going to get attacked ever, but it surprised me how scrawny and pathetic they can be in New Mexico. I'm sure in the East Coast, where there's a lot more food, they're huge and powerful.
Yeah,
compared
just
to here.
little ones in general. You know, they look scrawny and pathetic, like little yearlings, or ones that, you know, mom booted out because she had another litter or something. Or I don't even know what you call it. It's not a litter like dogs. It's maybe it is.
That is a good question.
I don't know.
Admittedly, I'm a small mammal biologist, so I don't really work a lot with bears and top carnivores. That's for people that had a better GPA in school than me. It's highly competitive.
I like nerding out on like animal stuff, and I was always like into animals, but I don't have all that knowledge.
Yeah, I think I do, but in reality I don't. There's just too much.
Okay, I'm Googling it right now.
What is a litter of bears called?
A sleuth of bear, a group of bear cubs is called a litter.
Okay, perfect.
Sleuth of Bears is also coming up on Google, which I kind of like. I really want to call it a sleuth.
If that's the official term.
A sleuth of 3 cubs. Like
okay, HXP world. You better start referring to a group of bears as a sleuth from now on, even if it's not.
Yeah, we're coining it.
It's now a sleuth. There's like a murder of crows and like a business of ferrets. Those are all real.
Yeah. And
but who makes those up for real?
And what do you call the pigs? The group of pigs? Sounder, yeah.
That's perfect though, because they're super loud.
Don't they call groups of something in Australia something really weird too?
Well, they call a mob of kangaroos. I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's kangaroos legit. Totally mob. Like hopping around, and those things can like kill you. So like, they are mob. Like, yes.
My buddy Luke, who we had on the show, he knows the guy who punched that kangaroo in the face on YouTube. It was attacking one of his pig dogs. And that pig dog wanted nothing to do with that kangaroo. It was just standing there being like, help me, please. And then the guy ran up and punched the kangaroo in the face to get it to release the dog. That's badass.
It's crazy. Like those grown male kangaroos with all their muscles and everything, it freaks me out because they look kind of human in a way.
They're like bipedal rat deers on steroids. They're so crazy.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. They are rat deers. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They're so big. Red kangaroos, at least.
I would run the other direction. Like, that's one I'm like, nope.
They are monsters. I bet all the Australians listening are laughing their butts off right now. You know, because
like, we do those every day, mate.
I wasn't even going to try an imitation. I was going to try to make fun of Corbin and do an Australian accent, but I just cannot do accents. So good try.
I don't think we can even call it a try. It's like a fail.
No, it was good enough.
All Americans, the only thing we know about how Australians sound is because of Steve Irwin.
It's true. It's true. That is a great icon of your culture, though. Ours is like snooky.
I grew up with Steve.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah.
What,
American
ours is
icons are not the same.
Snooki?
Yeah, you know, from like Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't allowed to watch that.
Wasn't it
don't
out
know
when
if
we were adults though?
Maybe.
I wasn't
Maybe,
allowed to watch
like
that.
maybe my mom was like subconsciously like censoring my TV activities.
When's the last time you turned your dogs loose on some bears?
I was actually just thinking about that today too. It was because I didn't go the last weekend of training season because I thought Cedar was coming into heat. So it was like it was definitely August. I'm looking at the calendar now. So it was like the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of August. So that's crazy and I don't like it. And I'm going bonkers. The
Don't
dogs
get
are
into
going
sight hounds
bonkers.
if you
I've
don't
gone
like long breaks.
right.
You have to take like 4 months off and it's the worst.
And like I've been going coon hunting, and it's been frustrating to say the least.
What's happening?
Well, I think I have just really high expectations and I kind of forgot how I started Piper and everything. It just seems like she was such a magical dog and everything just happened perfectly that I thought the same thing was going to happen with Ridge, who is now a year and a couple weeks old.
Gotcha.
And so I've been taking him out and like right when I got back from bear hunting, he treed one on his own. I don't think it was a far track because it was right off the cornfield. But like the past couple nights that we've gone out, he won't range out super far. And he's treed 2 slick trees. And I don't know. I've also think I've been in thin coon, but it's just like frustrating because I have such a good coon dog in Piper, and she's a remarkable bear dog too. That it's hard to regress and remember to like, it's okay to take the baby steps and it's okay for that dog to like not get it right away.
You know, as beginners, I've only been running sight hounds for 3 seasons so far. And I was always wondering, like, do you think you have like first dog love where you're just like totally in love with your first dog no matter what? And I wonder if I ever have blinders on. So I'm always trying to be like super objective.
We have blinders on for sure.
Yeah.
I think everybody gets them.
Yeah. I mean, Pronto is a totally excellent rabbit dog, but you know, I've been blown away by his sister more this year than I have by him. And I run with other people and I see a lot of other dogs. So I'm always trying to be as like unbiased and objective as possible. And I still can't shake that completely because Pronto is a great pet. So that also makes me like bonded to him a lot more. But his sister really has blown me away. Today, she caught one by herself, which is a huge achievement. It's very difficult to catch one by yourself.
It's like you need 2 or 3 dogs.
Yeah. And 2 really good ones. And I've gotten so lucky. You know, I've been coursing with guys that have been running for decades. And they're like, you're super lucky. You started off with 2 killers, like really good dogs right off the bat.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not get that lucky. So
thank
you.
I think we both got very spoiled with the dogs that we started with.
You know, it's crazy. My friend, who I got those dogs from, Mr. Dean Bohannon, he has told me that in the last 10 years, he's seen just a massive increase in the quality of running dogs across the West. And he's like, now is the golden age for like really good dogs. Like everyone has good dogs now, he was saying. Like,
so not just his
breeding.
Not just his breeding.
Oh, no, like everybody. He's like,
wow.
Lots of people have lots of really good dogs all across the West. And yeah, so I think right now I'm very lucky. I got in right in the golden age of really good dogs. Everyone seems to have great dogs right now, at least in the sight hound world.
Yeah, I think in the scent hound world, that's different.
Well, I'm sure there's some bad lineages of sight hounds out there, but I've never heard of them. I think
I don't think it's necessarily lineage. It's just there's so many. I don't think there's as many sight hounds, that there are as scent hounds. So there's so many that just probability wise, like even if you talk about one litter, what percent on average turns out to be a really good dog.
Mhm.
And then you just multiply that by like the total scent hound.
That's a very good point. Your sample size is so huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
But-
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking about, beginners and getting started, but, and this year has been so late last year was the first time that just my two dogs, they're young. Just my two dogs were catching hares on their own without the assistance of older dogs teaching them how. And
Yeah.
it felt amazing. And this year I've just hit the ground with just my duo and my pup, and they are just blowing me away. So I've coursed 14 hares with my two, and they've caught 13. And
Wow.
I'm just like on cloud 9. It feels so good to just go out with your two dogs and crush it. And
I know,
I'm just
I love getting your messages where you're like, you are like, Seth, you're already a very pumped dude. Like you're always excited all the time and you have endless amounts of enthusiasm. But
oh
then
man.
you get the messages, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I'm so happy for you at the same time,
My wife, she knows this firsthand, and I think she kind of like laughs when she hears those messages because I'm like over the top pumped.
Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot of people that I can share that like, I'm so excited with.
I do, everyone. I'm shameless, 100% shameless. I took all my pictures in my sandals today. Shout out to Paws Protected. All my cracks healed
Right?
up, which is great.
Good. Then just they're not gonna crack up again now because you're gonna keep them soft and supple.
There you go. That's right. It's true. It really is great. Like it really has helped my feet a bunch. I was like, man, the dog's feet look good. I'm just gonna put it on my feet. So
yeah, I mean, I totally believe you on it. I don't wear sandals out into the woods. That would cause a lot of problems for me. But I have lacrosse boots that I wore all bear season, and like I've got lady feet, and they're very nice, and I keep them like nice and pumice and everything like that. They're very nice feet.
That's good.
But I realized I got back from bear camp after being gone for like 2 months. And I'm like looking at my feet while I'm sitting on the couch or whatever. I'm like, dang, like there's a lot of like blisters and calluses and stuff that normally aren't there. But that was like, you put in the time, Lauren. You put in the time.
Yeah. What kind of lacrosses are you wearing?
It was actually the kind that was advertised on this podcast on the Sportsman's Nation segment, the Windrose.
Oh, okay.
I think
I wore the Venom Scent HDs for a long time. The snake boot.
They're 600 gram boots. I wore them out to New Mexico, Arizona, Navajo Nation too.
Nice.
When we did that, and so far they've been really good. And they've only gotten wet inside when I was up to my knees in water, so I don't blame them about that.
I wore a lot of snake boots for work because I wear them all summer, and I've worn Rockies, I've worn Danners, I've worn Lacrosse, and the Lacrosse Venom Scent are my favorite ones overall. Their zip side is really nice when you're wearing 18-inch tall boots. It's nice to be able to get those off easier like that.
How does that work though with all like the sand and the grit of the desert though?
No, that's the thing though, is that they keep everything out of your shoe. That's what makes the best thing about wearing those knee-high snake boots was that they keep all of the brush, all of the sand, all of the stickers and stuff out of your shoe, and kept your legs protected from the spiky brush. And I'd been struck by rattlesnakes twice. So they work.
Like, you've got to do some rattlesnake eradication before I get out there. It's like that.
Well, no, you'll be coming in the winter. They're not out.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I'm like, nope.
They're not that bad. They warn you before. That's the nice thing.
But maybe that day I'm just going to be extra stupid. I don't know. And I don't have a thing against snakes. Like, I'll pick up like regular snakes all the time. But
you're not picking those ones up. Nobody is.
No.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't have a problem with snakes at all, but I really dislike rattlesnakes, that they're a thing. Like, I don't hate them. I just hate that they exist. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just despise that they're a thing that I have
I
to
didn't
worry
know
about.
that there's like a season for them.
No, there's none. New Mexico has
Okay.
really
I
weird
think in
laws
Colorado
about that.
there
Oh, okay, yeah, probably because it's a lot more regulated there. It's kind of a bluer state. New Mexico is
Mhm.
really cool like that because we're really kind of center, even though we have like an all blue legislature right now. Like New Mexico has really, really conservative like traditions and culture in a lot of ways, and also kind of like a really liberal culture. And I think it really makes a nice fusion because you have this like cool, like Wild West artsy culture, but also like true grit, like freedom, like
Yeah.
I don't want to say lawlessness, but there is kind
Outlaw.
of a Wild West feel that's still totally alive here. And I really like it.
Yeah, and the approach to like hunting and game
Oh,
is
it's great.
like mostly the best in the country, it sounds like.
Well, I'm a little biased, and since I work for New Mexico, I kind of get a little bit of an upper hand in my view of it. But I don't work for Game and Fish, so to all the people out there that are New Mexicans that are like, "Oh, I hate Game and Fish," that's not me. But yeah, I don't think they do a bad job at all. It's a tough spot. Working in wildlife is always difficult. But one thing I was going to say is that in New Mexico, it's actually not illegal to harvest or keep any herps out there. So like reptiles and amphibians. So if you
I
just
was
want to
like,
like
what
go
is
out
that?
and
What are you talking about? Herps?
like, so the study of reptiles is
Like
herpetology.
herpetology. Okay.
So like when you say herps, it's funny if you like a lot of the reptile dorks that I work with, when they want to go like look for reptiles, they say go herping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's what I tried to avoid in college, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I should have known that term because I was all about like the toads and frogs and salamanders as a kid. And I knew what entomology was, so like why did I not know about herpetology?
It's true. Shame on you.
So
I'm just kidding.
shame on my dad. I bet
Oh,
he didn't
shots
tell me.
fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You'll find these stock tanks that are way out in the middle. So like humans have modified habitats everywhere. And one thing they really did that kind of messed up a lot of these really intense desert ecosystems is the like stock industry put in all these artificial waters where they like dam up overland flow zone and create these artificial pools out in the middle of the desert. And that's really like led to the marked decline in a lot of these really unique hardcore desert species. But what always blew me away is that you can find these stock tanks that are out in the middle of nowhere, and they're surrounded by just an island. They're like an island of water in an ocean of just pure, brutal desert. And you'll find spadefoot toads in those pools. And I'm like, how in the world did like a 3-inch toad find this pool of water in the middle of nowhere?
Sure.
It's incredible.
How did it end up there in the first place?
Yeah, they have like the spadefoot toad is in this incredible native toad to New Mexico, and they spend most of their life underground in a term called estivation, which is kind of like hibernation, except they go into a suspended animation where their heart beats once a minute, and they can survive underground for years until a combination of being hydrated by rainwater and thunder like brings them up. And they just have these mass mating events, and then they feast as much as possible, lay a ton of eggs, and just rebury themselves in the soft mud and wait for the next storm. It's like
nature is so cool.
I know. That's why I made a career out of it.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
I've got this huge toad that's living outside my side door of my house, and pretty much every night I see him, and he's getting fatter, and I'm surprised because they walk right past him every night when I let him out.
Well, some are poisonous, and animals learn to avoid them.
Well, Piper hopefully learned her lesson. She had one in her mouth right before we left for bear camp and foamed up and all that stuff.
Yeah, bufotoxin is the term for toad toxin. Yeah, and it like makes dogs crazy and high. There's a kind of toad here that my dog got kind of addicted to, my like poodle mix. It's my wife's, everybody. It's not mine. Well, he's mine. He's pretty cool, but he's definitely a non-contributor. Anyway, he got like addicted to licking toads, and he would like go out there and lick them and get super blazed and then just lay around the house.
Like it doesn't just
crazy.
like the side effects of like a frothy mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he would get all crazy, like Yeah. His eyes would get all red and he would just like chill out on the floor with a froth mouth. Not like in a sick way, just in like a blazed way. Like, I don't know how to describe it.
Like it was like toad acid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He loved it though.
That's crazy.
I wasn't gonna get in his way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna try it, but
No, me neither. Dogs are
not
dumb.
licking any toads.
Yeah.
I kissed a lot of frogs though as a little girl. I thought that whole Prince thing was true for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you could just pretend. I mean, that's cool. Frogs are cool.
Yeah, frogs are cool. I had pet toads growing up. Like we'd, get them in the summer and then we keep them over the winter and feed them and do all the fun stuff with them. We had photo shoots with them and then we'd let them go in the spring. I had pet tiger salamanders.
Those things are crazy. We have them here too. It blows me away how they can find these desert pools as well, because they have to travel over some serious distance.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I wonder how much ground they can cover in a day.
That is a good question. I should put this in the show notes because I also want to know that. And the only reason that I'm geeking out this hard is that several fans have told me that they like to hear about it. So to all the people that are rolling their eyes, I apologize, but trust us, reptiles and amphibians are awesome.
I had African clawed frogs and one like jumped out of its water tank. They live underwater. And we thought the dog ate it. And then when we were getting new carpet in the house, we had to move the entertainment center. And well, there he was, all shriveled up.
No.
Yeah. So I had an albino one left.
My buddy spent a bunch of money on iguanas and then they got eaten by his dogs the next day.
Oh.
I paraphrased that story intense, but I laughed so hard because he was so pumped for those iguanas. And then he's like, my pit bulls ate them. And I was like, those were the most expensive dog treats ever.
Like were they expensive?
Dude, they were like $300 a piece. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's like an overpopulation of iguanas all over the world, and they're considered an invasive species.
Yes.
So, like, whatever.
the herpetologist at my work, he sent us a link to this article about this guy in Florida. There was like a super cold event and it caused all the iguanas to get really slow from the cold. And this dude was going around picking up all the iguanas and putting them in his car so he could take them home and eat them. And on the drive home, since he had the heater on in his car, it warmed up all the iguanas and they like came to life in his car and like went berserk inside his car. And he like pulled over on the interstate and opened his door and all these iguanas took off running.
Dude, no, have you seen those farmers commercials where it's like crazy, like 1 in a million accidents that happen, like bear got into the car or like just weird stuff?
Yeah.
And he's like, we covered it. That he would be like, it'd be like an iguana invasion.
Iguana swarm.
Like,
yeah.
We covered it.
Oh,
like,
man.
why'd you crash into the guardrail? 20 iguanas got out of their Rubbermaid tub, started attacking me.
He just had them stacked, like he just had them stacked up in the back because they're frozen basically. So he just had them all piled up in the back seat, and they all came to life. But anyway, yeah. I'll tell you right, I'm still on cloud 9 from today. I got those dogs out today and walked across the prairie. I was hunting on a big old chunk of public land, some public prairie, so I was on foot. And man, I love my hound book. I've been keeping all my notes. I'm a huge note taker, dorky science dude. And so the hound log has been like a blessing. I was using an Excel file beforehand, and writing it down to me is just so much better. And Bart's book has a lot more ideas in it that I really like. The hound log does. And I've been writing, so I get home, I'm so pumped to write down everything that happened. But one thing that annoys me is that I let my hounds out to kind of free cast and look around for hares, but my female, she gets like really excited and runs like too far away from me. And today I knew it was going to happen, but I was like, I'm just going to see how she does. And she like got about 80 yards away from me. She's got a great nose on her. And I saw her put that nose down and I was like, dang it. And then boom, a hare got up right by her.
It's like
yeah.
Moment.
And so the hare got up right beside her.
With her at that
What's up?
You can't keep up with her because at that point, because they're so far away.
Oh, you couldn't keep up with them even if the rabbit got up 8 inches away from you. Like they're gone.
Okay, so then why is it so bad if she's like 80 yards away then?
Because my pup, well, luckily my pup was with her. What sucks is that my male, her brother, he is like glued to me and he hunts right beside me. So he hunts within like a 5-foot orbit of me. And that's what you want because you want the pack to start the race together. And so what happened was is the hare
You
gets
need
up.
to explain.
Yeah. So like her brother Pronto is right next to me. Calypso, she runs off looking for hares. I'm trying to reel her in, but normally I have her on what's called a slip lead, which is like a leash that goes through her collar, and then I hold both ends of the leash. One side is connected to my wrist through a loop, and the other side I'm just holding on to. And so when a hare gets up, I just let go.
You let go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty easy. Could never do that with a coonhound.
No. Over that you would never want to. You know what I mean? But
yeah, no.
Anyway,
that's
oh, go ahead.
That's a pretty sweet. I'm just thinking like that's really smart.
That's like super old technique that's been around for thousands and thousands of years.
A slip lead to me is like the kind where the leash loops on itself to like make its own collar, and then it slips and you can, pull and it gets tighter and stuff.
Yeah, so like I normally have her on slip, and then I was like, I'm just gonna let her run around, see how she does. Well, man, that was stupid. And so she got the rabbit up like 80 yards away. Pronto didn't even see her get the rabbit up. I tried to point it out to him, but I mean, Calypso can run 0 to 40 in 1.6 seconds. So she was completely out of sight in like 4 seconds for him. He couldn't see her. And the pup and her took off after the hare. And I was like, dang it. Like catching a hare by yourself is really tough. But I was watching through the binoculars, and then she was, Calypso really has a great technique. She was staying right tight on the hare. She puts a lot of real high speed pressure early on the hare. But what I love about her is that she has incredible agility. And so she can really get a hare flustered quick and get it confused, off its game plan, and then inevitably off its game. And so she was crushing him early, and I was like, whoa, holy moly, she's actually doing good. And then the pup was right there with her, and he got to see the rabbit, and she turned the hare right into Strider, and he got on it and helped her stay sighted because the grass is like knee high. And then she started breaking him down, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to catch him. And so I'm literally like trying to hold my binoculars, but I'm jumping up and down because I'm so excited. And I'm like,
I thought you're running in your sandals.
Yeah, no, I wasn't running. I was trying to stand still so I could see the race, but they were over a mile away. And so I have some 15x binoculars up. And so like, I'm like, it doesn't matter that I'm cheering. She's not going to hear me, but like, I'm cheering to her. I'm like, come on, girl, come on, come on. And she finally gets, when a hare is about to get smoked, they start turning rapidly in all directions, trying to wear the dogs down too. But her agility is way too good. And she just tackled him. And I don't want to say I cheered like a schoolgirl, but like I could have led a varsity cheer team right there. And I just took off running in their direction to try to get up to them because I was so excited.
A high-pitched Seth holler.
It was pretty intense. I'm glad I was alone out there. Let's just say that.
Hey, don't be ashamed.
No,
I'm
not.
Okay.
I'm not. Maybe I should share the clip I sent you guys. Maybe I should share that clip on the group page.
Of you cheering?
Oh man, remember that clip I sent you guys on the first when they caught their first hare of the season?
Yeah.
But I was pretty exuberant, everybody. Let's just say that. It was pretty intense.
I know the feeling.
Do you remember the first time your dogs just blew you away and you were so pumped? Like, describe it.
Let's see. I remember Cedar like very clearly because that just happened like a couple weeks ago. I guess I could tell that story. It's long though. With Piper, like she turned a year old last. Was it last? I don't know. She's gonna be 3, so it was 2 years ago then. I remember taking her out like in October sometime, and she ran a track backwards and then kind of came forwards and finally treed the thing. And I'm like, like we were standing right there. We knew it was there. So we kind of walked her into it by the end of it. But then it was like December, January, but there wasn't snow on the ground. And I took her out to like my little pup training spot, and she went probably like 400 yards. And I was like way back in another woods. There's a woods, and then there's a field, and then there's another woods. And I was just shining around, and I saw an eyeball, and I just stood there like 400 or 500 yards away. I'm like, I wonder if she's going to find this sucker. And there's no leaves on the trees. And it was a nice December night. And I just waited, and I watched her work the field edge. She moved from when I saw this coon, she was in the other woods behind me. And I just waited, and she worked and worked and worked and went across the field, then worked the field edge, and then worked in that woods where the coon was. And then she finally treed, and I was like so excited because
Oh
it's
man,
the first time,
I'm
like,
grinning just thinking about it.
like worked her own coon. It was like a really good track. It wasn't a hot track. It was like, you could tell it was just like really good nose work. And I was super excited, and it was, in season, so I could shoot it down to her, and I did, and it was just awesome. So that was really
rad.
cool. I remember the first time my dog Maggie treed, and like I was with my mentor Eric, and that was super cool because I don't know.
Yeah.
It took a lot for that too, but Cedar is the one right now that just has been showing me like the most awesome stuff and making me super happy. I mean, Piper made me really happy this bear season too. She turned into like a really good cold nose, what we call a start dog. And she treated a bunch of bear on her own too.
That's awesome.
So it was like, it's cool to see what kind of dogs your dogs turn out to be, and how they fit into your pack. Definitely. And where you can put those puzzle pieces together to like form like the perfect way to hunt or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, like a good winning recipe.
Yeah, yes, that's totally what it is.
You're talking about your mentor. Tell me how you met your mentor, because my mentor literally changed my life. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. So tell me about Eric.
Yeah. Well, he was like the one in the beginning. We don't keep up so much anymore. He's busy with his kids and hockey and all that. But so when I started, I had this dog from the pound, Maggie, and I wanted to start hunting and reached out to a local club, but it took them a year to get back to me, and finally did. And I got invited to this club, and I pull in my mom's pickup truck, and I didn't know anyone but one person there that I had just chatted with online, and it was like the secretary that invited me there. So I step out, and there's like 3 or 4 guys leaning against the truck next to me talking. And when I don't know people, I will just like go up to people and be like, "Hi, I'm Lauren."
Dude, I'm the same way. It has served me well.
So, and like if people are really sucky at introductions too, I will just be like, "Hey, I'm Lauren," and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I'm like, "Well, you just suck at introductions, so here we go." And it was Eric and then 2 older guys, and that's how I met Eric. He's like my age, married with a kid, and he lived in Fort Atkinson, I was actually living at my parents' house at the time. I was between homes that I'd bought and sold. So that was like 30 minutes from my parents' house. So meet him. We're going over to like look at the water race, which was going on. And he was like telling me all about this and using terms that I didn't even understand at the time. There's, the terminology that we use.
Yeah. I didn't want to cut you off, but yes, it took me a while, but I love jargon. So I was like, I soaked it all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I asked a lot of questions.
Me too.
And so he's showing me the water race. And in the meantime, like out of the corner of my eye, I see a dog like heading towards the water race start box. And I like nudged him. I'm like, that's a really good looking dog. And he's like, that's your dog. And I'm like, what? And Max, my like really, really good friend and really good mentor now, he took my dog to put it in the water race and see how she would do. So anyway, that's
Awesome.
how it all got started. And he just was like, okay, well, here's my number. If you want to ever hunt, let me know. And later he told me he never expected me to call or text or whatever. And I did probably like a couple days later. And he took me out hunting for, I don't know, at least 10 times, probably more. And really helped me start Maggie. He was there. One of the first hunts that I put Maggie in, like a UKC hunt, he was in the same cast. So very thankful to him to like give me the chance and the opportunity to learn from him in the beginning.
Did you find it hard to get into the community in general? Like, I don't mean due to like people being reclusive. I just mean like, how did you find the other coon hunters? I mean, how long did it take you to find other people? Because you know, coon hunting has the benefit, I feel, of having a huge community that is like, it's, although weirdly unknown,
but
it's also very well known.
Yeah, but we're all really weird.
No, that's just dog people in general.
That's true.
Myself included.
And I think a lot of people see you as competition, or it's just this like weird girl coming into this, and like her family hasn't been doing it forever. Like she came out of this like from nowhere. So I felt like I got like weird looks in the beginning. So like as far as then, you know, I decided, hey, I'm going to do this. So if I'm going to do it, then I'm going to actually do it. Then you start talking to people, and you kind of have to be outgoing and be willing to talk to people and be like, hey, like we should hunt sometime, and not just say it, but like follow up and do it. Yeah. And that's how it all kind of clicked together for me. And I went down to Autumn Oaks that year, 2 months after I had started this whole thing.
Whoa.
And I only knew, I wasn't friends with people, but I like knew a couple people, and I just like crashed their campsite. And then we like became good friends.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to like force yourself into the community. That's kind of how I felt.
It's funny too, because
it's like, accept me or not.
I did the same in a way, but you know, it's so funny. I didn't know anything about coursing, and you know, I talked about it briefly in my podcast, but I had ran the one I don't know, I don't want to say debuted in, but like the one I was on, and I kind of coursed at night with my bird dog mix, and then my brother was like, we should get some greyhounds, and I was like, that sounds great. But the part I left out was, it took me many months to find a greyhound. Like I've never even seen a greyhound, you know? And all I knew was greyhounds, and I didn't know anything about Salukis or anything. And so the only place I could look was greyhound rescues, and they were all old dogs or like older dogs that, you know, and they even say on a lot of their adoption forms, they can never be used for hunting, which I find strange because that's what they do. And so
it's probably because they think they're going to run away and then never come back.
I guess. And so that is one culture I wish I could like, that's one community I really wish I could sit down with now and just have like a really frank and honest discussion about how these dogs are born to hunt. That's what they love. You know what I mean? And yes, I agree. I want them to go to a great home, but I think there's a misconception in the rescue community that hunters take terrible care of their dogs. And I mean, my dogs are all asleep on the couch right now, you know, and that doesn't even mean, that's not even the mark of a good owner. Like my mentor's dogs are all outside dogs, but they're in wonderful, comfortable housing, and they have huge runs, like, and he lets them out and plays with them all the time. Like, I mean, anyway, so finally I called this greyhound rescue in Lubbock, and they were like, well, we don't give our dogs to hunters, but I do know a hunter who I know really well, and maybe you can give him a call. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I called him out of the blue, and that just started my entire world in the Sighthounds.
That was him?
Yeah, that was Dean Bohannon in Lubbock. Okay. And he's like, I was like, yeah, I was really polite and whatever. And I was like, hey, do you have any litters on the ground? And he's like, yeah, we just had one like 3 weeks ago. He's like, I don't sell puppies to people I haven't met. So let's get to know each other. And I want to talk to you before I ever say yes to you. And I was like, sure. So we built a relationship. And before you know it, he's like, yeah, why don't you come down and pick out 2 you want? I have 8 here. And I got in my car with my brother and we hauled booty down to Lubbock, and I picked out Pronto and Calypso, and possibly some of the best choosing I've made in my life, except my wife. Whew, she's right behind me. I got to make sure I said that.
Good save.
But anyway, yeah, but, and then like, it took me months to find him. And then now what? I didn't even know, I had no clue hey, you should find a mentor. Like, that didn't even dawn on me. I was like, oh, I'll just figure it out. Typical 20, 25-year-old or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll raise these dogs, and so yeah. I went on with my life. And then we were at a Batteries Plus store, which is just like a battery store. Like, this is like 2 weeks after I got Pronto and Calypso. And my wife saw who is now my mentor's dog rig at Batteries Plus with all his hounds in it. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to run in here. Like
and what town is this in?
Las Cruces, where I live.
Oh, what?
I know. And so it's a real small world. So Dean told me to keep my eye out for this guy. And I was like, okay, but it's a town of 100,000. Like, well, okay. Anyway. And so like, I'm like you, man, I'll talk to anybody, from like the king of the world to some random crackhead on the street. I just want to hear people's story. And so like, I was like, I'm going to find this guy. So I like ran inside, and there he was. And I was like, are those your dogs? He was the only dude in the store, so he had to be him. I was like, are those your long dogs out there? And he's like, yeah. How'd you know that? And I was like, oh yeah. Anyway, long story short, meeting him changed my life. I've never met someone that I just like, he's my first friend that I've met as an adult. That's not like a childhood friend that I've had for years and years. He's like one of my closest friends, and I love hanging out with him. He's taught me so much. Like, there's just nothing that can beat experience. And he's so like frank and humble and willing to help me. And his dogs are amazing. And he's taught me a lot about not just running dogs, but just like life lessons. I know that sounds really weird and corny, but it's true. Like, he has a totally different,
all the wisdom. They've had all the experiences.
Yeah. I mean, and like, so willing to just help me out and impart his knowledge upon me and just be a great friend. Like, we hunt together every weekend, and I just genuinely love hanging out with him. Shout out to you, Justin, man. You're the best. Like, I can't even imagine hunting without having a friend out there with you to share. And we're both just total sighthound geeks. We both just cheer and holler to the dogs. It is so fun. And so, yeah, I just, to anyone that's getting started out there, the beginners that are listening, I get a lot of messages from beginners, and they're just like, who do I talk to? Who do I get started? The best advice I can give you is get on Facebook dog groups and just watch and see the old timers out there that are active and chatting. The getting on those Facebook groups helped me really expand my base and meet a lot of new people.
Yeah, and just talk to people, and then you figure out who are the good ones and who are the not.
And who's
so
in your
ones.
Area,
right? Yeah.
And
I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, even if they're not in your immediate town, go talk to them if they're willing, and then they will probably help you find other people closer to you. There's a lot more houndsmen out there than you think.
I helped a girl on Facebook, in New York, by Niagara Falls, New York.
Yeah.
I helped her
That's
connect
awesome.
with some people. Like, yeah, you can connect all over the country. If you've got to drive an hour, if you got to drive 2 hours, then do it. You've just got to get the guts to do it. And I don't think I ever would have gotten started in trying hunting out if that one secretary wouldn't have messaged me back. It took the club a year to message me back because they had different officers and stuff before that one girl took over, and they were super weary because I was like from the city and stuff like that. But if Amanda would have never messaged me, I wouldn't be here now. And if I hadn't have met Max, my old man mentor, I wouldn't have the dogs I have now. All 3 of them are from him. And honestly, like the whole bear hunting thing, like my ex-boyfriend, if I wouldn't have gone and done that, I wouldn't have been here where I am now.
It's
Just
amazing,
like
the interconnected webs.
addicted to bear hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes to show you that community really is everything. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's something we really strive here at HXP to build. And I mean this to the fans, like reach out. If you're new and you have any questions, 100% me, Lauren, and Chris would love to help you out in any way we can. There's a mentorship announcement on the Houndsman XP podcast group. Check it out. And don't be afraid to message us and link on that mentorship. That's a good way to get started, and use the podcast group to help ask questions. Post there, and there are so many awesome fans
Yeah,
that are
tell us
very
your
active
story.
in helping.
What are
Say
you
that
looking to
again?
get out of this, people?
Mm.
I said, tell us, comment, tell us your story, who you are, what are you looking to get out of this on
Definitely.
the group?
That's the thing. I mean, I just, when I talk to big game hunters that either have a negative or neutral view on hound hunting, I think the first thing I try to impart is that, I mean, I've been big game hunting basically my entire life. And the one thing that I think hound hunting I found the most appealing is the intense sense of community, because we're a small group. But also, when you're hound hunting, you don't have to be all sneaky, and you can just, it's a more communal and social way to hunt. And
Oh, totally.
also the bonds with the dogs, those are the best hunting buddies in the world. And that's just something that, when you're stalking or sitting in a stand or whatever, is a different kind. I feel more like a ninja and less like I'm out. I don't know. It just feels more communal. It's all the hound hunters here understand what I'm talking about. It's a great day out with your buddies. You guys are all hanging out, talking and chatting, and boom, a rabbit gets up, and now you guys are cheering like a bunch of like 16-year-old girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, coon hunting, you can do that in groups, and you're, at the clubhouse, if you do the UKC or PKC stuff, waiting in between hour hunts, or at the end and you're getting breakfast at 2 a.m. Bear hunting, there's always downtime. The baits aren't hit and you're decided to crack open a beer or what have you. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. And this kind of goes not quite with the community thing, but you talk about big game hunting versus hound hunting. It's not just you bettering yourself, like as a handler and everything like that, because you get better every day, as much as you do this as a handler, but your dogs get better too. And it's cool just to see that come together, and not just you becoming a better hunter and that's it.
That's true. And what I love is the communal partnership between man and animal, their strengths and my strengths together to try to make this team to succeed. Because as much as I like to think hound hunt or sight hounds are the most primitive form of hunting with hounds, they kind of are this like complete package
Well, they look like dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, they're like very ancient, and they do a small amount of scenting for their prey, but they find the prey, flush the prey, pursue the prey, kill the prey, and then retrieve the prey, all on their own. But at the same time, they are a very specialist tool, and they really do need your help to get to the place that you need to hunt. They need your help to make good choices on what to chase and when to chase. And I just love it all, man. I can sit down and talk with my buddy Justin, my mentor. I can just sit down and talk with him for hours about, breedings and great races we've had together, and tuning up our rigs, and it's just so great. Like,
I feel like nobody else but people who hunt dogs, or specifically scent hounds, sight hounds, understand us.
That's what we're trying to fix here.
Yeah.
I think
it's like
obviously
so
the gun,
cool.
the big game hunters, the rifle hunters, I can do the same. I can sit down and talk, elk hunting, Barbary hunting, javelina hunting, mule deer hunting in the desert. I can talk about that for hours too, but I just don't have that same fire. I feel like the substance, although it is there, I just feel, I don't know. It's just obviously a little bit of a bias, but at the same time, I mean, I love it all. And my favorite thing to do as a houndsman is to sit down with big game hunters and just be like, why don't you come out and watch my dogs run? And I love to see the looks on their faces when my dogs blast off the line and they're like, holy smokes, those dogs are insanely fast. And B, when they're like, this is really, really fun. And they're like, I never thought of hound hunting as something that would be this fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean,
that's why I want to take some more people bear hunting. Like nobody came up to visit me when I was bear hunting. I invited a couple people and they didn't. But I'm like, it is so fun. Never mind my driving. You'll be fine. But
and I think bear hunting is like even better to bring people, because bears have this like fortunate/unfortunate thing of being a charismatic megafauna. So like they're this super charismatic animal.
When it happens, yeah, it's like the most awesome thing to be a part of, and probably like maybe better than coon hunting as far as like a wow factor. But there is so much downtime in between it all that what I learned is, like, when I first went bear hunting, I didn't have any dogs out. It was when I was with my ex-boyfriend, and I would like sleep in the back of the truck because I wasn't invested in going to check baits or looking for tracks or anything like that. So like when you don't have skin in the game, you don't have a dog out there, and you don't understand everything that goes into it, it's just not as exciting. But when the whole bear thing is finally happening, you're like walking into a tree.
Yeah.
That's the cool part.
You know, I worked with a mountain lion
as long
trapper.
as you can like get someone excited there, and then like that flips the switch.
Yeah. Like seeing a bear. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. I worked with a mountain lion crew, and the first time I walked into a mountain lion where they're like, okay, like the trap's been tripped. What blew me away was that mountain lion was on a 3-foot lead and I couldn't see him. Like I was just like, where is it? It's hidden somewhere, but it is trapped. Like it is here, but I can't see it. And my heart was pounding so much I could hear it. And it was like in my throat. And the biologist was like, it's in the trap. And he knew where it was, but I didn't, because I didn't know how to see them. Like it's hard to explain, but once you train your eye on how to see something, all of my big game hunters listening, you guys can explain, big mountain Western hunters, when you're glassing constantly, until you see that first deer or that first sheep, it's hard to see them. And excuse me, that's how it was. And anyway, finally I just heard it like run, like that deep kind of like growl. And I was like, oh, anyway. So I can imagine it's so much more fun when you have your dogs there, and obviously you know it's there. That's a great part. The suspense was killing me.
Yeah, and it's like, to me, like seeing the bear is cool. Like it's really cool, and it's cool to get the pictures. But like what I really like is seeing everything that led up to that. That's like where I get my kicks, from the bait or from the rig to, you know, where they caught the bear or where it went up a tree or where whatever. Because like, okay, once the thing's treed, like, yeah, the work's still there. They have to hold pressure. They got to keep the bear there. But most of the work was way behind there.
I've learned so much about bear hunting just from this show, just listening to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only known mountain lion hunters here, and I've never really known a lot of bear hunting, because dry ground mountain lion hunting is like kind of the holy grail, and it's really popular here in New Mexico. And just the different style of dog you need to be a successful bear hunter, I find is really interesting. And I mean, I want to go on one really bad. That sounds so fun.
We're going to see how Piper turns out next year. You know, I posted on Facebook, I was kind of trying to plan ahead and see how I can harvest a bear before I get a Wisconsin tag and have Piper be there. I'm going to be going to New Mexico.
You're going to love it.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about it, and we'll see. So that'll be like my plan next year, is start actually in Colorado with a friend who does depredation work. Start there in July, then be there for like a week or two or something, and then move back to Wisconsin, finish out the training season in Wisconsin, and then kill season in Wisconsin will start kind of right away because the bait sitters are going first this year, which is why I'm like having to wait and I'm getting super depressed and the dogs are going nuts.
Yeah.
And then like late October, November, go down to New Mexico. That's just the plan. I mean, this is all like hopes and dreams right now. So.
You should turn your coonhounds loose on the prairie to get some rabbits up for the dogs. They don't even have to know what a jackrabbit is. Just having them running around will help.
Oh yeah, for sure. And their paws need to get toughened up out there.
I think the first thing you're going to be blown away by is how much public land we have. Like, when you were on the Navajo Nation, that is, it's open to them, but you have to have access or know a tribal member to be out there. But like where I was hunting today is a 1.1 million acre stretch of a combination of like prairie lowlands and like craggly mountains that are full of like mule deer and sheep, like wild sheep, and there's even the Persian ibex are in one mountain range in there. But I mean, that's just one tiny fraction. And the Gila is just, I'll take you to a great spot where we'll put your dogs on the ground. Last time I was going to go stalking there this year for bears. But my schedule has been crazy with work and because of COVID and stuff. But I found a fresh bear track that was put down like an hour ago. And I found it in like 5 minutes. Like there's so many bears in this area.
Do people hunt around there?
Huh?
Do people hunt with dogs around there?
No. The Gila is so huge. Why? There's no hunting pressure.
Probably because you can't get trucks around in there.
You can get a truck within like 700 yards of where I saw those tracks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like the thing is, the Gila is like 4 million acres, and that's just one of like the 10 national forests there. And so, yeah, there's a lot of bear hunting in the Gila, but when I say a lot of bear hunting, I mean like you could go your entire season and never see another houndsman. Easy. Yeah. And so I've never even like heard of people releasing dogs in this area. And my buddy works there. That's his station. And he's like, I almost never hear hounds. So yeah.
Maybe it's just an access thing because it's so big that there's not enough trails to get into where you need to follow the dogs.
Yeah. It's a lot of on foot work, especially in the wilderness. Obviously there's no cars allowed, but I don't think a lot of people really go deep in the wilderness. I don't know. I'm not a bear hunter.
Like, if your dogs are going, chasing a bear 18 miles or whatever, no, I'm not going to cover that on. Like, no.
I really dork out on the physiology of my dogs.
No. You're like, reception, you're not going to know.
What's up?
Are you there?
Yeah. You broke up for a little bit there. You were saying something?
Oh, okay. No, go ahead. The physiology of your dogs.
Oh, no, I was just saying like I always dork out on their physiology, but the ability to run like 18 miles straight after a bear is remarkable on the dogs and the bears aspect.
I mean, it's rare, I think, but it can happen.
Sure. Sure.
I think the longest race that I had was probably like 10 miles this summer.
That's still a long way.
But it's crazy. Like the different territory that I hunted in, like when I was super way up north in Wisconsin versus to kind of where I'm hunting now. Like I thought it was hard when I was like up north, and now 3 hours away from me, I'm like, I had no idea how easy it was. And this is hard now. Like this is like crazy swamp. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. It's but it's like the most amazing hunting, but it's just like a totally different, like guaranteed mile walk into the tree. Most times.
How long did that 10-mile race take you? And did you guys tree the bear or did you guys get outrun?
I don't even remember. It was early in the season. The dogs went a total of 10 miles, and that's not like 10 mile straight line. They do all the circles.
They're all over the place.
Like
yeah.
I think one of Piper's longest runs, she was actually alone most of the time, and I ended up catching her in a beaver pond. So no, that bear did not get caught.
That's crazy.
Well, beaver pond area. I didn't like walk into like an actual pond to get her, but it was like the zone of where the beavers had dammed up a lot of stuff, and it was gross and swampy and thick and mosquito-y and tall grass up to my head.
Wow. Do you guys have a lot of beavers in your area?
Not where I live now, but like everywhere else as you go further north. I mean, towns pay for nuisance trapping. There's a lot of people that do trap them and try and take care of them because they cause so much damage.
Yeah,
so
they're
much
amazing
damage.
little animals. I mean, they're super destructive and annoying, but they're a rat that can chew a tree down. Like, that's
I know.
really intense.
I've seen trees like when I've been kayaking and stuff like that, even around here, that are like beaver trees. And I'm like, what? Like, that tree's freaking huge. Like, why would it? Okay, whatever. And then I never find like an actual dam or a beaver, what was a beaver hut? What is it called?
Beaver Lodge.
Lodge. There we go. That's what I was looking for. It's always
They're incredible.
Tons of muskrats. Lots of muskrats.
Oh yeah, they're so nasty, but they're really fun to hunt. Matter of fact, one of the first things I ever had my pointer do was fetch muskrats off the Rio Grande that we were shooting with spotlights.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was really fun.
We've got a muskrat problem on my parents' lake.
They're not too common here. I don't know. There's just not enough wetland habitat to really let their populations get huge.
Yeah.
There's like the Rio Grande and that's it. And it's not productive enough.
Yeah.
But the beavers are like rebounding in New Mexico. And the first time I saw a beaver lodge and a beaver dam, it was huge. Like, it was like 5-6 feet tall. I couldn't see over it. And so it's way taller than 5 feet. I'm 6'1". So like, anyway, we were shocking, like using an electrofishing shocker. So it stuns the fish and you just pick them up in nets. We were doing Rio Grande chub. And so we were collecting Rio Grande chub for DNA analysis. And I remember like the guys I was working with were like, if you shock a beaver, they get pretty aggressive. And I was like, nah, like, you guys are messing with me. You're messing with me. And so I remember we were shocking along and I was right behind to like back right of the shocker. And like, we were in a V pattern with the shockman in the front. And we like hit this beaver dam. And I was like, whoa, like, this beaver dam is huge. And this is in northern New Mexico. And he kind of looked at me and he looked at my other netter and he was like, beaver dam. And I was like, go. Like, this is nothing serious. Just go. And so we climb up on this beaver dam and start coming down the other side. First thing that blew me away, beaver like ponds are way deeper than I thought they were going to be. And so I'm wearing waders so I don't get electrocuted. And the water is just rising up my waders. And it's about up to my nipples. And I'm like, this water's super deep. And we can't have the water spill over our waders so that we don't get shocked. So we stop there.
Right.
Yeah. And we start walking along. We have to turn the voltage up on our shocker really high because it's a huge body of water. And my shockman hits the shocker and you just see bubbles come up on the other side of the pond. And I was like, oh, and then he's like, there he is. And the beaver like came out of the water. It like slapped the tail with slapped the water with its tail and then like came up out of the water. And because it was getting shocked, not intentionally, it just was because they're big. Yeah. They have more surface area. So the shock affects them more than the little tiny fish. And so like it came out of the water and I was like, oh, there it is. And then it just like came in the water and started swimming right at us at like full speed. And I'm going to be real with you right now. Like, I dropped my net and just ran away. I was just like, oh, dude, I was. And like, you know how you run in super slow motion in the water? And so like, I'm just like, I'm out. I don't even know. You always imagine yourself as some like badass safari hunter. You're going to stand your ground and like beat them down with your net. Hell no. I just dropped my net and ran for it. And
I got bit by a field mouse once, and that was bad enough. I don't want to get bit by beaver teeth.
That thing went in my eyes from being like a beaver to a German Shepherd underwater. Okay. And kudos to my shockman. He like held the shock down full steam and then just like bashed the beaver underwater with the shock pole and hit it directly with 1,200 volts, like straight to the beaver's head. And it was just like, yeah, and swam away and left. And I got up to the top of the beaver dam. I was panting because I was running like in the water. I got to the top. They're laughing at me. I didn't care. And then I was like, oh, dude, there's water on the inside of my waders. If you catch my drift. I was like, it's warm in my waders now. That is so crazy. Yeah,
oh
I
my
wasn't
gosh.
that
And
scared,
but
this
is like
I was holding
this
it, I
wasn't
guess.
for your job. Right? This wasn't for your job. This was like pleasure.
No, this was for work. This was for work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
that electrofishing unit is like $10,000. So it's definitely not, and it's not a legal form of fishing for the public. But yeah.
Okay. So I think you'd be terrified if this was not an extinct animal. Do you ever remember like going to like the museum or something and seeing those prehistoric beavers?
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
there were prehistoric beavers, a giant beaver, an extinct genus of enormous bear-sized beavers that lived in North America during the I'm gonna
Pleistocene,
butcher this.
yeah.
You probably know this.
Yeah, the
Yup,
Pleistocene.
that. And Castoroides.
Yeah, so that means
is
like
the
huge
name.
beaver in Latin.
Yeah. So it was literally bear-sized. It was like a meter tall
So in the
and
Pleistocene in North
3
America,
meters long.
there was like all kinds of insane wildlife. Like there was a rabbit that was like 4 times bigger than the current rabbits that are alive today. Like a huge hare. And there was like giant burrowing owls that lived in Cuba, and they were like the size of like a I'm trying to like get a good comparison, like a small kangaroo, like huge burrowing owls, which is like super crazy. And obviously, like, okay, so bison is the bison that's alive today. There was a species of bison called bison latifrons, which was the longhorn bison. It's like 4 times bigger than a normal bison. And then bison antiquus as well was like twice as big as the modern day bison. So
So it's like mammoth sized.
not quite.
Pretty
Bison
okay.
latifrons was like probably the size of like probably as
Yeah.
tall as like a Shire horse, like an Australian Shire horse,
Yeah.
but like 5 times heavier. 4 times
Yum.
heavier. Yeah, they were like 10,000
That's all
pounds.
I gotta say.
Yeah, and they had like 12-foot horns. They're like humongous animals. I'm so fascinated with the Pleistocene because that's when people lived too. There was people here when all those crazy animals were here. And like yeah, we like conquered
That's
them
so
with
crazy.
sticks.
Yeah.
Is
Man.
crazy. The short-faced bear is the largest land mammal carnivore that has ever lived. And it's this,
Short-faced bear.
yeah, it's a giant bear, and it was more adapted to running than it was like digging or climbing like modern bears. And
Mhm.
it had like semi-retractable claws, and it was a hyper carnivorous bear. So it did not eat majority vegetation like modern bears. And Google what they look like. Their skeleton,
I'm on Google right now.
they were twice as big as a polar bear, which is like unfathomably huge. We have a skull at New Mexico State University of a short-faced bear, which is the first time I'd ever like heard of one and seen one. And when I saw its skull, it literally just gave me shivers down my spine. Like the skull was like as big around as my arm span, and it's like 3.5 feet long. It is so crazy.
I don't care what kind of dogs I would have. I'm like, if that thing was around now, that'd be a nope.
Oh my gosh. And so
I wouldn't turn my dogs loose on that thing. Holy moly.
We were alive at the same time those things were. So we definitely have encounters with them in the past, which is,
man, I need to learn more about this. I feel like I was not taught about the Pleistocene.
It's such a crazy time. And everyone's really all super up in arms about like how all the megafauna went extinct. And it's still like to this day kind of undecided, and it'll never be decided, I don't think, because no one was there. But in my opinion, it's a combination of human hunting and climate change, habitat destruction and modification, most likely, because all the small stuff survived. You know, I don't think human overhunting did it all, because snakes and turtles, giant beavers, like animals that humans like historically didn't go after in crazy amounts, also went extinct. It's just hard to be huge. It's really resource intensive to be huge. So when the resources started getting slim, all the big guys went the way of the dodo.
I mean, and you think about it too, like, okay, mountain lions are bigger the further north you go.
Right.
And that's because of resources.
Well, and also like having a more dense body is like way more advantageous in the cold temperatures. So gigantothermy is like the so when you're huge, you retain heat better.
Yeah, you got to get huge somehow though.
Maybe I should just live in the Arctic and get huge. Like if I want to live like Arnold Schwarzenegger, man, I should just go live up in like the Arctic Circle and just come back and just be like, I'm back. I cannot do accents. But
I can't do it either.
That was a feeble, the most feeble Arnold Schwarzenegger ever.
Someone can up our Arnold Schwarzenegger game.
In the comments for this Canva that you put on the Facebook, I
Yeah.
will make the banner of the Facebook group a display of their choosing if someone makes a video of them doing I'll Be Back Arnold Schwarzenegger, and everyone like votes to see who has the best one.
I mean, if anyone actually does that, I doubt anyone will, but that's gonna be really cool.
This is officially the invitation, everybody.
Yeah. Here's your challenge. All right, ready, go.
Who's got
All
the
right.
best I'll Be Back. So anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of,
So
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please.
No, I don't even know what I was gonna talk about. I was gonna ask about
Well,
I don't know.
I was gonna go back to like when we were getting started, and after like you gotten the ball rolling and kind of seeing like how other people did it. I kind of want to know like how much more different was it than you actually thought it was going to be? Because that was something that really blew me away, is how unbelievably different my path went than what I thought it was going to be like.
Okay, so not just the sport and how it was gonna be, but like how I imagined me progressing.
Or just like, yeah, in general, like was the
Yeah.
sport different than you thought it was going to be? Was the experiences you had way different? Because it definitely was for me. Definitely.
I don't know. I don't think I had any expectations because I just didn't know anything about it. So I just took everything as it comes. But at first I thought I was going to be this, serious competition coon hunter and, travel around the country and, earn all this money hunting my dogs, which everybody knows
Yeah,
that you really
right.
don't spend more money than you earn. And like I just thought that that's how it was going to be. And I also was like, I'm never turning my dogs out where there's wolves. And like I just had all these ideas of what I was going to do and what I was not going to do. And that totally changed.
Mhm.
And it's because I tried new things and met new people. And I still like coon hunting, and I'm still going to do competitions. Piper's just really hard to hear in comp hunting. So that's kind of and COVID kind of stopped me from doing it this year too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Ridge now, and he's my next prospect, but just bear hunting just super sucked me in, and I got addicted. And the whole wolf thing, I came to terms with it, and I'm like, I'm never going to have the experiences that I want to have and that my dogs need to have if I don't turn them loose. And you're never going to get anywhere if you don't take the chance. And whether there's wolves up north or, even if you're turning out loose coon hunting down here, there's always a risk. Whatever risk it is, you just have to take that chance.
Yeah.
So I just kind of had to get over like the fear factor of it and just my own stubbornness of how I wanted things to go and just take the plunge. And since the beginning, now I don't own a Jetta. I've got a truck and I've got the radio and I've got the dog box and I've got multiple dogs. I've had multiple dogs through all this. And, did I ever think that I'd spent 2 months in my camper in the Northwoods hunting bear? No, but I have that opportunity now. And there's just been so many opportunities handed to me, especially because of this podcast, that if I don't take advantage of it, I'm stupid.
Yeah, wow, that's great. I'm totally absorbing it. The biggest thing that blew me away was how much time I spent driving around a state I thought I knew. And
yeah, that's true.
me and my mentor Justin, we drove 14 hours in one day, drove 700 miles.
Holy moly.
And we never were more than 3 hours from my home. But we drove 14 hours worth of country,
Holy
700
cow.
miles. And
wow.
Yeah. And so you're going to see all of this, by the way, when you come and hunt with us. You're going to see all this country we found. Google the very large array. And we were near that country a lot. I sent you guys some videos and pictures, but to all the listeners, Google the Very Large Array. They've shot tons of movies there for like alien scenes. It's those giant satellite dishes that are out on that big old beautiful prairie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, but anyway, the thing that blew me away too, that I thought was totally different, is I never in a million years like would have expected how much money and time and also how much training it takes. You would think it's just as simple as letting a collar go and a dog runs out there and catches a jackrabbit. But the biggest thing I've learned is it is super hard to catch a jackrabbit, and your dogs really need to learn from experienced dogs. There's so much technique. And I just was not expecting that at all. And, you know, it's funny. I thought I could just like, I don't know, like just take good care of my dogs and exercise them a lot, and they would just be like really good at catching hares. And I am just so blessed that I met Justin, because that couldn't be farther from the truth. It doesn't matter how good you take care of your dogs. It doesn't matter how much you pep them up. If they don't have experience from older hounds, you're not going to succeed very often, or you're going to have a super long learning curve. And by the time they figure it out, they're going to be too old to be real badasses out there.
Yeah.
And the thing I learned too is like, it's shockingly expensive to be a houndsman. Like,
yeah, people told me that, and I'm like, nah. And now I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's the punch.
The expensive part.
Yeah. The time, like I'll talk about the time in a little bit, but yeah, the expensive part of it, and like you don't recoup those fees,
dude. Gas.
they're not fees, but
yeah, no, you're right. It's like gas and vehicle work, and dude, I spent so much on just my vehicle, my rig. I mean, I bought a rig specifically so I could follow those dogs, a Ranger, and I built that box. That was not cheap, and I built it too. I didn't pay someone to build it, and it was still crazy expensive.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, me and my brother built that thing from the ground up.
Oh,
but
wow.
Like, you know, the box to haul your dogs, the fence, the food, the vet bills, the collars, like, I mean, just everything adds up. And holy moly, it is super expensive. And sight hounds are kind of high maintenance compared to other dogs. And so they need even more specialized care. And man, yeah, it just blew me away. I mean, I drive an hour. No, false. Minimum, I drive 40 minutes to get to where I want to hunt. And the maximum is 3.5 hours. That's just part of it. Your time spent too is something that just commuting to Great Prairie is super long. And it's I guess the biggest thing I didn't expect is, I'm glad, is how much it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just so happy to be there, and I don't care that I have to drive 3 hours. It's worth it. Every second to me. It's the even the commute when I'm with Justin, it's so much more fun with him. My wife comes out and courses with us all the time, and it's just great.
It's way better to have a buddy along for the ride.
Oh, sure. When you got a 280
or at least
mile drive.
on the radio.
Yeah. So and the folks that are having to do those commutes alone, I hope that the Houndsman XP podcast keep you company.
Totally. Yeah. Download it before you go, just in case you don't have cell service.
Definitely. That's what I always do.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the time, and I really learned that this year, like that you have to put in the time. Like I would never, ever have bear dogs if I didn't do what I did this year. Like there's no way. And if I was just a weekend warrior, that wouldn't have happened either. Like,
yeah, that's pretty hardcore living in your camper that long though.
It was like, I actually prefer it to living here in this house. I just feel trapped where I am right now. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in a camper for a while, but it wasn't for such great times as hunting bears with my dogs. It was for work. So it wasn't as cool, but I know what you're saying.
Right.
That must be so awesome. I wish I lived on the prairie. Even if I could work remotely like you do and then just go out and hunt.
Little Seth in the prairie.
That would be a very annoying book, probably.
No, it's going to be a reality show.
Little Seth on the prairie.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. It's only going to be one season though. That's as far as it's going to go.
Are you saying my show would suck, dude?
Yeah.
Dang, that hurts. I've hosted 3 podcasts or whatever.
You know, I'm gonna
Anyway.
rib you when I get the chance. Got
So-
to. But yeah, like I really enjoyed living in the camper, and I'm just going through some serious withdrawals. That's all I gotta say.
Dude, now welcome to my
I
whole
think-
summer, man.
Yeah, I think unless like I get like some really, really good coon hunting in, winter's gonna be really rough.
Brutal.
Brutal. Yeah.
Well, like I said, when you
should
swing through, go ahead.
I should just pack up right now and head to New Mexico.
Dude, I got 5
can still
acres you
catch
can
some
park your
deer.
camper on.
Yeah. No, I got stuff to do here, I think. I don't know. We'll
You
fi-
can work fully remotely right now in the COVID era, can't you?
Well, yeah, I've been working remote for the bank I've been there in over 8 years, and I've been remote like at least 5 of it now. So
Oh,
stuff
wow.
didn't change with COVID for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
as long as I've got like either wireless or hotspot connection, I'm good.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But who
nothing
knows,
changed for
maybe-
me.
Yeah. Maybe except for your travel restriction.
Yeah, obviously I can't. I've been wanting to go to Texas and hang out with Scotty and shoot some pigs, but I can't. Even for work, I can't go to Texas at all. So I got to stay here, but that's okay. It's almost rat season. I can't wait. I was really hoping that you guys would come in October. I wanted to take you and Chris rat trapping. I promise you it's not as gross as you think. Desert rats
mean, I
are
can just-
adorable.
I can just come for a weekend.
I mean, we trap during the weekday, but yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's for work. But like, I could set up some traps for fun. But I want Chris to hold a kangaroo rat because they're amazing. They go their whole life without drinking a drop of water. As a matter of fact,
Will
they're
it bite you? You have to wear like thick leather gloves.
no, kangaroo
okay.
rats won't bite you. They're like harmless.
And they're not super ratty, so
Yeah,
he wouldn't be scared of them.
they look like little kangaroos. Yeah, like little gerbils. They look like
okay.
gerbils.
Yeah.
And like,
All right.
what's crazy is they're so desert adapted. They don't even have a swallowing reflex for water. So even if you offer them water, like in a cage, they won't even drink it. They just stand in it.
Okay. Yeah, you've mentioned that before, but like if you have a swallowing reflex, I feel like you have it no matter what. So they have to swallow food. So
right.
how
I
is it
said
not
for
the same?
water, like for water.
Yeah, I know. But how is it not the same? Like they just don't know
Dude.
how to lap it up and drink it.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. Rodents lap, right? So they don't. If you syringe water in their mouth, they'll aspirate it. Like they don't even try to drink it. Yeah, they're incredible.
Speaking of like syringing, I have this chicken that Piper attacked, and I stapled her up, and I've been doctoring her, and I took her to the vet today so I could get some antibiotics and stuff.
Wait.
And
Did you just say you take a chicken to the vet?
yeah, I did.
Oh my
I
goodness, you're a good
contemplated
person.
pulling it right away when she attacked it, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna give it a chance. So I like cleaned the puncture wound up and the 3-inch gash in her, and
You are a
stapled
good
her up.
person.
And I thought I'd be stapling a dog before I'd be stapling a chicken back together.
Yeah.
So I stapled her back together. She doesn't even have a name. That's how much like I guess I didn't care about my chickens.
That's something my dad
but
would do
apparently I
too,
did.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all that happened, but I still wanted to get her some medicine. So I had to syringe antibiotics and pain meds into her mouth today, and trying to get that chicken and open her beak and everything
Ugh.
was not fun. And I got to do that twice a day.
I
So-
applaud the heck out of you for doing that. I think that really speaks to your character. I grew up in the country, like in an agricultural community, and so no one would bat an eye to like get their dog fixed if they got really injured. But cats and chickens kind of have this place in like the country folk ethos where you're just like, well, he's a kitty, like he'll get better
Well,
soon. You know what I mean? And chickens
yeah,
too. You're like, I don't know. That's great of you. I like
Well,
I said, I applaud it.
Well, thanks. I originally thought like, oh, it's not, I'll just call it like there's no hope. But I think the reason I did what I did is because it was my fault that the dog was out when the chicken was out. So I think if it would have been like a like a hawk situation or something else,
Gotcha.
I would have just called it right away. And, but I think I just felt bad because it was my fault.
Did you ever try to train your dogs not to attack the chickens, or you're just like, that's hopeless, no way?
I think it's kind of hopeless. Brooke, actually, I've been talking to her, who was in the last episode. She has trained her dogs on like the ducks and the chickens to leave them alone and stuff. I think it's hope. For me, it's hopeless. I don't know if I could put the time in and everything to do it.
Growing up, our bird dogs wouldn't attack the chickens, but we trained them from puppyhood. I just don't know if I could get my sight hounds to leave them alone. I could definitely get some of them. Like Pronto, he's totally uninterested in anything with feathers. I've had like baby quail run out in front of him, like 2 feet in front of him, and he just walks through them. He does not care at all. But I think his sister and my bird dog mix would just gobble him right up.
When there's geese or sandhill crane or whatever in the field behind the barn, the dogs don't care at all. So I don't know what the whole chicken thing is. Maybe it's because they see them every day right in their little cage that's outside the coop.
Like
their little chicken
frustration.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Dogs
Either
love
way,
killing chickens.
Either way, I've got a chicken in my kitchen right now.
Now, do you have it named? Is it named now?
No. I've got to come up with a name. I feel like she's due a name at this point.
Dude, it should be like Cluck Stapleton.
I'll just call her Staples.
There you go. My name wasn't as good as I thought.
No, I think I'll just call her Staples.
So did you get any weird looks when you brought a chicken into the vet?
No, because that vet, like most vets don't take chickens, but this is like a country vet, and he says like he sees like 4 to 5 chickens a week.
What?
So and I didn't walk in with the chicken because we still can't walk into the vet, which I don't understand. If we can walk into a restaurant, why can't we go into the vet? With the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it's still quote unquote curbside service.
You're waiting in your car with a chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. And she stood up and she rode on the center console the whole way home. Like a beagle.
That's pretty rad, actually. I knew a guy named Rooster, but it's not as cool as your chicken riding shotgun.
I knew a guy named Trout.
What?
Yeah, his name's, I don't know if that's his real name, probably not, but he went by Trout.
My really good friend named his son, his middle name is Coyote, and I'm super jealous.
No way.
Yes. He told his wife if they have a boy
really
for their second kid, he gets to name the middle name. And she's like, all right, fine. And they had a son for their second kid, and he's like, I'm totally naming him Coyote, and his middle name.
Okay. What's the first name? Can you say it?
Yeah, I can. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna speak like no. I'm just gonna be very vague. But this guy is really into hunting, and so his first son's name is Hunter, and his second son's name is Fisher. This is one of the most legit dudes I've ever met. I love this guy. Like he's like my second dad.
I was wondering if it was like Christopher Coyote or
it's
like
Fisher Coyote. Yeah, it's Fisher Coyote.
That's badass and redneck and everything all at the same time.
Dude, I love it. I'm so jealous.
Doesn't turn out to be super awesome. It's a total letdown.
He's a good kid. I like him. His dad is like a second dad to me.
How
He's so
can you,
legit.
like, you have to live up to your name, son.
Well, he's at the age now where he's making so much racket all the time that he is like a coyote. And he's like skinny and wiry and running around everywhere. So yeah, he's living up to it pretty good.
All right. Cool.
But my parents named me Seth Allen. That's so boring and lame. Come on, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, just good old quality, solid name, though.
It's true.
I mean, it's better than Lauren Jean. I feel like just go down to the.
No, Lauren's a great
don't
name.
even know.
My dad's name is Lauren, but a different
Lauren,
spelling.
I love. Yeah, L-O.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I love my first name, but like you put my first name and my middle name, like Lauren Jean, it just sounds like whatever.
No, use it to your advantage when you go south.
Hi, my name's Lauren.
Like all at one. Yeah.
Oh, that's my first. Like that's the name I go by.
Yes, exactly.
Like Mary Kate or
Exactly.
Kellyanne.
Maybe
Yeah.
not that one. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, either way, I haven't really been to the South, so gotta do that once.
Yeah, I went to Kentucky. Farthest south I've ever been is Kentucky. Well, Florida, but it doesn't count. That's not the South, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
maybe
been
it
to
is.
Florida. I went to Florida, but it was like the beachy town, so it didn't feel like.
Yeah, I was at
super
Disney World. I
redneck.
don't feel like that's an accurate representation of Florida.
No, definitely not.
I was gonna make a Florida joke, but I don't want to make my Floridian fans mad.
Oh no, there's always the Florida man joke.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney World had plenty of fat people in meth, but I don't know if that accurately represents all of Florida. Just most.
Just the, I don't know, 90%. No.
Lauren, we're gonna get
Oh.
shanked. We need to talk
I
about
meant-
hound hunting and not
Okay.
crazy Floridians.
Move this on. I had a great time in Florida when I did go. So.
Yeah, me too. but-
And one of my
keep going.
friends might be coming up to deer hunt with me this season. He is an athletic trainer for the Tampa Bay Rays, and
Dang.
he wants to deer hunt, so we'll see what happens.
I really want to go up to the Midwestern, like northern Midwestern states to hunt whitetail. That's just something you got to do. It's like on a bucket list of hunting. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's remarkably different than.
Hunt bear or raccoon, like it's what, whitetail? Come on, dude.
Well, of course I'm gonna hunt bear and raccoon. I know
I
you.
know.
But what I mean is like
I know, good.
destination wise, like I've always wanted to just sit freezing my butt off in a tree stand and just like shoot a big whitetail buck. But I have a feeling that's probably really expensive since everyone wants to do that. So I'll just instead run around and chase
know,
coons with you.
Or like South Dakota. It's another good spot, I think. I mean, there's lots of people that are listening right now that know a lot more than me. So I'm just hunting in my backyard this year. You know,
What's the
80
coon
acres
population
away.
like this year for you?
That's a really good question. Where my training spots, I didn't shoot out a lot last year. I did go in the back 80 couple days ago, and there was a mom and two kits that were right in the den tree. So I mean, there's the population is there. I did see a bunch of kits. I see a lot of kits on the road, so that means that there's a lot of them.
Yeah, they're dispersing.
So yeah. So I think based on that, it's good, and people don't hunt them. So
I
they're just
feel like
crazy.
coons are one of those
there's a
animals
lot
that
of
they're just so adaptable and common that it doesn't really matter. Probably, I don't know. That's just
it's there's a lot of corn this year, and it's a mast crop season too for acorns.
nice.
So
Nice.
I mean, next year's probably going to be really good.
The
But we
hare
shall see.
population sucks this year. I keep a really like obsessive
I'm
tab
sorry.
on it, and
Yeah.
it was that rabbit hemorrhagic virus came through and wiped a bunch out, and then it was just an awful dry year, record heat, and basically no monsoon this year for us. So it's going to be slow going. I've been lucky and gotten my hairs up within 2 hours every time in the last
Yeah.
2 times, but I
I
mean
mean, you
yeah.
haven't been doing this quite long enough, but like everybody else that you talk to who does it, do they see like big cycles of the population of hare?
Oh yeah, I'm a small mammal biologist, and I've been doing it for 10 years. So, I mean, I just because I wasn't hunting, I kind of had a tab on it, but not as this obsessive. Let's just say that. But yeah, definitely, there's always a boom and bust cycle in rodents and lagomorphs, like rabbits and rodents. But this disease was new. This was a novel rabbit disease that came through here. RHDV type 2, rabbit hemorrhagic disease virus type 2, is a new virus. It's a new strain of the type 1 virus. And so no one had immunity to it. No one had resistance to it. And in some populations, they were knocked back 60%.
Holy cow. Well,
I
anything
know.
hemorrhagic just sounds like a horrible way to go.
It is, dude. Their lungs basically just turn into like jelly, and they just cough up their own lungs and blood and die. It's awful.
Ew.
Yeah. And I would
Horrible.
just see like dead rabbits strewn all over the place in
The
certain areas
dogs
that got
can't catch
ravaged.
it. Right? The dogs can't catch it.
Oh no, it isn't transmissible to humans or dogs. It only affects
Okay.
rabbits and hares and some kinds of rodents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if like you've got to vaccinate your dogs for anything different.
No. But what sucks is that it can live inside an infected carcass for a couple months. So if a hare walks by and sniffs that carcass, and it kills them within 48 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So they don't even have time. Like once they start showing symptoms, they have about 24 hours to live.
Man, too bad rabbits don't have like little mini rabbit guns. They can just be like, well, it's over. Don't wanna...
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, for a rabbit, as soon as you show any kind of disease or sickness, or you're toast. A predator is going to pick you up instantly.
Coyote's gonna find you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that like a lot of people that are like, don't you think it's cruel that you like chase hares with your dogs? And I'm like, tell me what rabbit in the world, like, how do you think any hare dies? They don't have like a rosy death where they're like reading last rites and like kids are watching their like will video. Every rabbit that's ever died of like starvation, the elements, disease, or being mauled to death by a predator. Like, yeah. I mean,
and when it gets taken by the dogs, it's like fast. It's done.
Dude, there's three
like,
70-pound dogs hitting them all at once. You know what I mean? It's over. Yeah.
Snaps its neck and it's done.
Yeah, I would much rather be killed by my coursing dogs than by a hawk or an eagle. That's like the worst death.
Totally. I agree. Yeah.
Because they don't even
Good thing
really
there's
care.
not, like...
They just start eating you.
Yeah, good thing there's not like prehistoric size like birds, like pterodactyls that we have to watch out for anymore.
Yeah, the largest eagle that ever lived in the modern era was the Haast's eagle, and it ate like moas, which are an extinct form of like flightless birds that lived in New Zealand. And those Haast's eagles were gigantic, dude. Like, I'm not going to give an exact wingspan because I don't know exactly, but they were by far the largest eagle that's ever lived. And
how do you spell it?
HAAST apostrophe
Okay.
S. They were definitely big enough to prey on small kids.
Yeah. Good thing they're not around anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, they're pretty intense.
It just says the weight of 15 kilograms, but birds are light to begin with. So.
Right. So 15 kilos, that's like a 30-pound eagle. To put that into perspective, a golden eagle, which is the tallest eagle in the world, is only 8 to 9 pounds. So they were like 3 times bigger. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on.
I was gonna say, dude.
I was going deep down a Google rabbit hole here trying to find the.
I hope the listeners are too, because
and then,
I get started.
Then like where it says like more results on Google that are like related to your search. The first one says, "Could a Haast eagle kill a human?"
There you go.
So
yeah, that's not. I wasn't the first one to think that.
Same way. Right, exactly.
Lauren, me and you can chat forever. You notice that?
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably wrap this bad boy up.
Probably. People might be getting bored of like our random conversations that have nothing to do with dogs.
No, but you know what? Everyone wants to learn about giant man-eating eagles. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I was talking to Corbin about crocodiles, and I was feeling guilty about like tangenting on saltwater crocodiles, but I just want like all the listeners to geek out with me for a second on how huge and terrifying a saltwater crocodile is. And like Corbin told me after the interview, when we were just kind of chatting afterwards, he was like, I was in the infantry, and he's like, I would rather run across like interlocked machine gun fire than get into a pool of water with a crocodile, like a saltwater crocodile.
Like, I don't want to be taken for a death roll. Dude. I just really don't want to be going that I don't want to go that way.
That sounds like it would be a great metal album cover though. Death roll. Like that'd be a great metal.
No, that's my prison name.
Oh, that's pretty good. Nice. Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna start calling you that now. Lauren Death Roll.
Lauren Death Roll, Franny. Yeah.
And with that death roll.
Yeah. We better close this out.
Wrap it up, Lauren. I like the way you wrap it up.
All right, Seth. I'm coming down there this winter at some point. And I'm going to have my dogs. You're going to have your dogs. We're going to get into the prairie. Who knows what's going to happen? let's hope I've got GPS collars on mine. But you follow your dogs and I'll follow mine. Hounds.
yeah.
Follow your hounds and I'll follow mine.
Death roll. I'll talk to you later, buddy.